Is this thing on? Let's see. Oh, yes, it is. Alright, little shits. Today we're gonna be cursing about all those fucking colonies that kind of want their independence back. Hooray! Welcome back to hell. So also, what is it? Right, I'm not drawing anything because it's 10 o'clock, so fuck that shit. And so you can minimize this tab while doing whatever the fuck you're doing. Studying, playing, jacking off, who gives a shit? Anyway, let's get this shit show on the road. So, we begin with India. You know, that main former British colony today. Currently in the timeline, British colony. So basically what's been going on is, India is basically split up into a shit ton of different classes. You've got the peasants, basically pieces of shit, that pay money to everybody who's higher than them, which are basically the landowner, money lenders, the government, and these these asshats known as the ruling princes, who own all the fucking land. And cities had all the, your middle class, your craftsmen, traders, workers, all that shit. And basically all the British did to improve. Is somebody watching this shit? What the fuck? Alright, man. You should sleep, honestly, but you go, dude. So anyway, so basically the British banned the ability of wives to go and burn themselves on their husbands' funeral pyres, but nothing else in respect to their lives. And basically, all the bureaucrats and politicians and assholes called them Indian middle class, basically spoke English, because, that's what you do as the civilized, quotation, civilized middle class. And of course, since there's a couple of Muslims in there, they're pretty fucking pissed that all the fucking Hindus are like, go fuck yourself. And the Muslims are like, how about no, asshole? And, there's that whole thing that's going on. So, let's see. The fuck? So, Britain, when they were there, kind of put in some modern technology, railroads, telegraphs, communication, all that wacky tacky shit. But let's see, where the fuck are they? Oh yeah, and but they didn't want India to actually have industries of any sort whatsoever, because can't compete, you can't have economic competition with Britain. What the fuck are you talking about? So, Indians, the asshats in the Indian middle class eventually go like, hold the fuck up. These assholes being racist to us all the time, not letting us do shit. So they made the Indian National Congress, which did jack shit. And meanwhile, the Muslims in the north basically did the same thing, and they made the All India Muslim League, which, you might have fucking guessed it, did jack shit. They were basically just kind of, what is it? They were kind of symbolic. Yeah, that's the fucking word. Until that independence was actually becoming a thing, and then they became kind of the representative body of Muslims. So in the end, the independence movement was two movements: the Hindus and the Muslims. Both of them hated each other, but hated the British more. because fuck the police, right? Okay. So, eventually at one point, uh, this one random Indian asshat got together with another asshat and some more asshats, and they went like, you know what? Fuck the British. We're gonna make our own steel industry. So they made a steel mill. Great fucking job. And also, they were going to gradually get some, political concessions with the British government until in 1919, a British asshole named Dyer ordered his troops to fire into a peaceful crowd of 10,000 demonstrators, killing 300 something guys and wounding 1,200 more, which made even more demonstrations. And it kind of wasn't helped when the House of Lords went like, you know what? All right, we're gonna approve this guy's actions. We're gonna give you some money. And then the Indians were like, go fuck yourself, maybe. So no more political concessions. And so, while they're teetering on the edge of, everything dying, didn't happen because of that amazing guy named Mahatma Gandhi, Mohandas K. Gandhi. I can say that. I don't have to say asshat. So Gandhi began life. He had everything. He's a wealthy ass motherfucker. He was able to go to England for education. He lived in South Africa, practiced law, and he was one of the guys that joined the Indian National Congress. But unlike all the other radical guys going like, let's kill everything, why not? He went like, no. I'm gonna use these Hindu and Christian ideals and say we must practice non-violence and the search for the truth. Whatever the fuck that means. And he's like, no, you will not be a violent man. And so he basically and then he gave up his suits and stuff and just wore simple peasant's garb. And he just said, alright everybody, let's peacefully revolt. And he was the master of public relations. So was one time, he led a couple followers on an 80-mile walk, camped on a beach, and got salt from the sea. Basically giving the middle finger to the government's monopoly on salt. And then, he's arrested a bunch of times. And then, nothing really happens. He just makes it more popular, right? So, that's the thing. And so, basically, what happened is he made, quoting Percival Spear, he made the British uncomfortable in their cherished field of moral rectitude. Basically meaning, they had the moral high ground. And they had the moral high ground. And they had the ethically superior cause to the British. And as that famous Obi-Wan Kenobi said, you can't fight me, bish. I have the high ground. Haha. Haha. Jokes. So, eventually Britain's like, okay, have shit. And so, they made some political concessions and stuff. And in the years before the Second World War, they basically just started giving up everything until 1947, where they gave India their independence. So who is it? This guy named Asshat Nehru was Gandhi's successor. And so, let's see. Oh yeah, and before the Second World War, the Indian politicians got the right to make high tariff barriers so that India could, get industries. So that was the thing. And in World War II, India still, helped the Allies a lot, but it was it was more of we're gonna fight to defend our country rather than we're gonna fight to support the British. And a couple of Indians just hated the British so much though that they just went over to the Japanese side. 'Cause fuck the British. And so, after they got independence, both the Muslim and Hindu movements went like, hold up a fucking second. I still hate you, asshole! So, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, okay? Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the leader of the League, the Muslim League, not the Justice League, the Muslim League, basically tried working with Ashat Nehru. Oh shit, I have to say the actual names because I'm not drawing it this time. Shit. Jawaharlal Nehru. Got him. Oh, where am I now? Basically went like, okay, we're gonna make India and Pakistan instead, right? North, Pakistan, most of the South, India. And, this was accompanied with Muslims and Hindus just kind of shooting each other, like, all the time. Like, right after the British went like, alright, you guys deal with your own fucking problems now. They looked at each other and went like, bites on now, motherfucker. Just kind of lunged at each other with knives while backing away. Alright. Cool. Oh yeah. By the way, Gandhi was shot down by an angry Hindu refugee. That's weird, okay. Interesting. Anyway, Pakistan, India, fighting forever. The end, happily ever after. Moving on to Africa. Let's see. While they're colonized, the colonial governments basically forced anybody nearby to be like, you work for us now, bitch. And so, that was the thing. The colonial government just forced all the workers to work for like no pay on whatever the fuck they wanted. Oh, and health-wise, even though the Europeans are like, we brought modernization to these savages, they didn't really, because before, just in the 1930s, they just kind of worsened public health by bringing over diseases like that syphilis, gonorrhea, tuberculosis, and malaria, sleeping sickness, smallpox. They took away most of the farmers, so there was nobody to farm things, so there was no food, and so whenever they took whatever food they had, there's all the remaining farmers didn't really have anything to eat. Yeah. Basically, fuck the British. Or, actually, no, just fuck all of the colonial governments. Fuck that shit. And since, the Africans' religions were kind of falling apart under, the Europeans whooping their ass, a lot of them converted to Christianity wait, you can't be both. Christianity or Islam. So, like, Christianity was most successful in West and South Africa, where a lot of people took it quite well, and with some of the brightest pupils becoming, clergymen and that sort of shit. Well, Islam was coming in from the east and southward, a little bit, from the Arab and African merchants, which was kind of less disruptive of customs, traditional African customs, like polygamy. Because, guy wanna fuck a lot of guy wanna fuck a lot of wives, man. Okay, we're not that far. And the few lucky ass motherfuckers that got out and got educated and yes, my mic's working. I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't think that would happen. Anyway, and so they tried to start nationalist movements to kind of free themselves. They made an African National Congress, dig jack shit. And in the Second World War, there's this cool motherfucker named Emperor Haile, no, Haile Selassie, Emperor for Ethiopia, that took his own troops and just kicked out the Italians, because fuck the Italians. Um, and most of the other people in Africa, they basically just were forced to work more. That was the thing. Okay. Mexico. You know how there's a shit ton of revolutions? Now there's more revolutions. Oh, fucking boy. So, let's see. All the land was split up into these estates called haciendas. And mestizos were only slightly better off than the poor motherfucking peasants working on the haciendas. And, and for a shit ton of time, 34 years, this guy named General Porfirio Diaz ruled under the motto Liberty, Order, and Progress. Liberty meaning freedom for the rich asshats to get more land. Order through rigging elections, bribing supporters, and killing those who oppose them. And progress of importing other shit and taking advantage of Mexico. And so the very small middle class, to the educated middle class that kind of actually liked Mexico, Diaz doing all these things and also saying, how about fuck all the traditional Mexican traditions, it was kind of a slap to the face, and they went like, how about fuck you? So, some peasant leaders like Emiliano Zapata and Pancho Villa led some regional revolts, and then there's these guys founded by Carranza and Alvaro Obregon made themselves the constitutionalists that controlled most of the main cities. And while Pancho Villa and Zapata started revolutions in rural areas, eventually, in this huge civil war that happened, people shooting up each other's shit, Zapata and Villa are dead, constitutionalist rule, with Lazaro Cardenas at the head by the end of it. And he basically made a bunch of reforms for the urban worker. Wait, no, just a bunch of reforms in general. One-term presidency, state-run education so that the Catholic Church doesn't do anything. Minimum wages. What else? Oh yeah, oil returned to Mexico. The industry returned to Mexico ownership. And the military didn't control the government as much. And peasants got more land. Hooray. Hope they fucking do. Holy shit. Okay. Oh, and Mexican Revolution inspired art. That's a thing. Okay. In Argentina, most of Argentina was consisted of pampas, uh, flat, fertile land, easy to till, and that was basically transformed so that Argentina, represented by the interests of the oligarchia, some wealthy landowner asshats, which controlled most of the peasants, could create the cattle and sheep for Europe, while basically letting Britain make all the railroads and shit. While Brazil made a bunch of coffee, led by a landowner thing, with the British creating the railroads and shit for them. So that happened. And, avenge- eventually, they got control over the railroads while the British moved on to controlling the then Americans and others moved on to controlling the air and radio technologies. Oh boy. And in the Depression, they basically veered toward authoritarian regimes to solve their problems. Like this guy named Getulio Vargas, who made reforms for basically the urban workers. He didn't really help any of the landless peasants, or nor did he really do anything to stop power with landowners. He just kind of said, "All right, let's make a cool constitution, one-term presidency," and then at the end of his term, he went like, "Well, no, I'm just gonna be the supreme leader now." And then Argentina, led by this guy named Juan Perón, or rather mostly his wife, Eva Perón, basically tried to champion stuff like women's rights and social benefits, but basically it was a populist dictatorship. Um, he basically spent all the capital that Argentina got during the war, cause fuck it. And then when Eva died, he got the Juan Perón got overthrown in a military coup. And that's what's happening everywhere else. Good luck, assholes. Hope you have a nice